Hello, this is Barb, and welcome back to another episode of Fear the Talking Heads. I'm joined today with Jason Shepard
What
from
up?
Jason Shepard Artworks. So today we're talking about werewolves in movies. I am going to have Jason start us off. We both have five movies to share with you. These are movies that we can highly recommend, right? At least you feel
I
that way
would,
about your
yeah,
list as
I would
well.
absolutely say
Right.
highly. Although
Yes.
some of mine might be questionable to, I know you for a fact find a few of them questionable, but that's okay.
That's okay. I like that. Underrated movies out there
Yeah,
that need to be explored more.
yeah. Do you like werewolves who break dance in the school hallways?
I mean, it is it is pretty unique. I
It's
haven't
cool,
seen that.
right?
Yeah.
Do you like werewolves who surf on top of vans in broad daylight in the public as they drive through town? What about wolves that star in school plays or play high school basketball? And you like Michael J. Fox, then you're going to love, because I love it, Teen Wolf from 1985. Yeah, I pulled out the VHS tape
I was
because
gonna say busted out the VHS.
busting them out. But yeah, man, I think that there are a group of people that just think that this movie is ridiculous, and it absolutely is in all of the best 80s manner. But I grew up with this movie. This was one that came on like broadcast television, and my dad would record it for me. So I still somewhere in the collection have this tape of when he recorded Teen Wolf from television. But man, such a good, really fun, charming, like coming of age, like werewolf flick. And I don't feel like it gets enough praise. Of course, there was the MTV series that came out, I guess sometime in the, you remember that? It was like the,
I don't remember that. There was an
well, it
MTV
was,
series?
yeah, MTV had a
Oh.
series, but it was a serious drama. And this was probably like the
Oh,
early to mid 2000s, I guess, is when
okay.
this came out, but I never watched it. But they took all the character names like Scott and his friend Styles and Scott's girlfriend Booth, like are they all those character names are still there, but this it's nothing like this, and I'm kind of weary to even want to bother giving it a shot because I love this one so much. But yeah, movie focuses around Michael J. Fox's character Scott Howard, who he's sort of he's on the high school basketball team. He lives in a small town. He doesn't have a lot going for him. I guess he kind of just feels like he's a nobody. And the one night on a full moon, he discovers that he is of werewolf lineage, right? So he has an incident, comes home, talks to his dad about it as he's transforming in the bathroom mirror and making all kinds of weird sounds. His dad's like, "Let me in, Scott, open the door." He opens the door and sees his dad transformed as a werewolf as well, and finds out that, of course, he is of werewolf lineage, and that his dad explains that every once in a while it skips a generation, and he was hoping that it would skip him. But he's like, in Michael J. Fox fashion, "Yeah, well, it didn't skip me. It landed on my face. What the hell am I gonna do?"
Wow, that's a great impression, actually.
Scott learns to start embracing this side of himself. And you could even see it sort of gets out of control a little bit because he's starting to realize that people like him much better as a werewolf. Now, only in the 80s are you going to be able to be playing a basketball game as a human and transform mid-game and everybody just be okay with it. Like, you know what? Like, let's play some ball here. Like, let's go. It's fine. And so he goes through the movie, like, wanting to really bring out this wolf character more because everybody's loving him. He's adored. But there's a lot of heart to this movie because as it starts winding down, his real, his true friend Booth, who I think ultimately ends up being his girlfriend, really wants to see him just do all these things and accomplish all these things as himself, which I mean, the werewolf is himself, I guess, but as Scott and not have to rely on this
Yeah, I don't
this
remember.
wolf.
Was he able to just do it at will, or was it just during
He was able to do it well.
he
Yeah,
was able to?
there's a
Okay.
scene in his friend Styles' garage where he's Styles is like he's got some weed stashed away somewhere and he can't find it. So Scott like turns into the wolf and like sniffs it out for him.
Nice. And it's the
Yeah.
only movie I think of our bunch. that is not considered horror or
Y-
thriller or
Yep,
something
just an
like
80s
that.
comedy.
Just
Yeah.
a fun one, which I think
Hmm.
is cool that you kicked off with that. Since you were talking about coming of age, I think maybe I should start off with One Animal's Dream, Danish language. And it's basically about a 16-year-old. The same thing, you know, how it's in the lineage, it's in her lineage. But this is one of those movies that she gets to a certain age and she's realizing that her body is going through changes and she doesn't necessarily realize this, but she starts work on this first day and people are kind of looking at her funny. It comes out later that, oh, it's because they fear her. There's a few that are bullying her, which, okay, then right away you're thinking, now they're going to get it later.
Right.
There's differences in werewolf movies. Either you see them change only slightly into a wolf or all the way transition. And I think my favorite might be where they still lean more heavy into being human, where you just see maybe just a little bit of fur here, the eyes change, maybe the
Mhm.
nose changes a little bit, but they're still, you look at them and you know that they're still human.
Yeah.
And that's what this is too. And it's a slow burn. It's an indie flick. It's very much like a werewolf version of Let the Right One In. It's a vampire movie, but this one is kind of like that, but showing you from a werewolf perspective. But yeah, that is my first pick.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I will definitely check that out. And
yes.
you all should too. So,
Yes.
speaking of dreaming, I'm going to let that segue into my next one. This is one that I watched the other night called The Company of Wolves, and it's got Angela Lansbury in it. So we're already off to a good start, if you ask
Hell
me.
yeah.
So very atypical, I think, and I think this is a good one that kids could even use as a gateway into watching horror because it is rated R, but there's not language. There's not a lot of gore. I don't know what got the R cut on it, but very dark fantasy, Little Red Riding Hood-esque kind of vibes. Pretty much it follows this young girl, Rosaline, who lives in the British countryside somewhere, I guess, with her parents and her sister. And Rosaline, near the beginning, falls asleep while reading a magazine and starts having these dreams that her sister was hunted down and killed by a pack of wolves. And she attends the funeral with the parents and Angela Lansbury, who's her grandmother. And she hangs out with her grandmother a lot, spends a lot of time with her. Her grandmother likes to spin yarns about werewolf tales with her and just tell her about all these things. In her dream, the village that she lives in starts getting attacked. People are being attacked by wolves, and she her grandmother sews her or crochets her a like a red shawl. And so that's where
Oh,
I started piecing together. I was like, oh, they're going to go Little Red Riding Hood with this, like I
that's
think so.
awesome.
Uh,
Okay.
and it looks really cool on screen because the sets are beautiful, really atmospheric, dreamlike, just gorgeous sets, like a very fantasy 80s kind of a setting. But that shawl just pops out in contrast against everything. It's just a beautiful movie to look at, really. So while these people are getting attacked in her village, she sort of strays away from home to go to her grandma's house. Ends up running into a guy. I guess he's like a huntsman. Red flags with him, by the way. He's very creepy. Like he's
Okay.
obviously way older than her, but he's like he's kind of like filling up on her and trying to kiss on her. I don't know about this dude, but we know there's something shady about him, right? So he says, "Well, I bet I can get to your grandmother's house before you do." And also, he has connected eyebrows. So her
Does he
grandmother had
really?
warned her about trusting men with connected
Oh,
eyebrows in the
really?
beginning of the movie.
Okay.
So we know where this is going. I wasn't expecting the ending that I got. I was like,
Was it good or bad?
oh,
Or
damn.
just
No, I liked
different?
it. It was cool.
Okay.
It left you kind of like well, that
Okay.
sucks for her, but
Okay. This is on my list to watch.
it's
So,
cool. And
okay.
you get like it's not like I said, it's not overly gory. It's not anything like that, but all the werewolf transformations in the movie look really cool. Like they're very well done. And you've seen the cover art with the guy's head his mouth is kind of open and the werewolf coming out of that, you actually get to see that
Oh, you
transformation.
do.
And
Okay.
it looks great. So, but it's one I would recommend. It's just it's so kind of it's really unique and different. And
Okay.
I wouldn't call it a horror movie really so much as it is like just dark fantasy.
So because you mentioned more fantasy, now I have to dive into Blood and Chocolate for my next one because it
Okay?
is kind of more of a fantasy. I mean, it could be seen also as horror in some aspect, but I don't even think it was, yeah, it's rated PG-13. I mean,
No, not at all.
sometimes you can get more just from an imagination of what happened. So
Yeah.
Agnes Bruckner, she plays Vivian, and it's one of those situations where she was born into this, which I think is cool too when it's lineage. This guy that she meets, he's an American writer and he's doing some research on the Loup-garou, the werewolves. He says, there's this saying that it's not just a full moon, that basically the Loup-garou can change at any moment at will. I like that it takes the lore and plays with it a little bit. And also, when they change in this movie, they change into regular wolves. It's not the
Oh,
big
humanoid.
creature.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just they change into regular wolves that are beautiful. This was just refreshing and different. And she's trying to keep her true identity hidden, and she doesn't want this new guy to know, even though she's kind of fallen in love with him. And it's just really good, especially for someone that appreciates werewolf fantasy type.
Hmm.
So that's my second pick.
Okay. I'll be sure to check that out as well. Now, I think it's one of my favorite werewolf movies that I've ever seen. My girlfriend, who hates horror movies, stayed awake, watched the whole thing, and she was like, "My God, that was good." Dog
Yes.
Soldiers. It was more of an action movie with some werewolf elements in it. And I mean, heavy werewolf elements, but I mean, the pacing on this, the action, it was nonstop. And there was never a dull moment where I felt like, okay, I need to pause this and go take a break. I was just like into it. Essentially, the movie follows a British platoon who is on a training mission against I guess, a special ops team out in the Scotland wilderness. And they begin to become attacked by something that they're not aware of at first. They start losing a few men and realize that they're up against something that they were not prepared for or expecting, which werewolves. So they get away. Girl picks them up, takes them back to an abandoned house, and this is where the Night of the Living Dead vibes really come in on this. So the rest of the movie takes place inside this secluded house out in the middle of nowhere in the wilderness, and they are fighting for their lives. I like the drama that was surrounding the people inside the house because there's a lot of twists and turns with some of them that you don't know who you can trust or what this person's intentions might be or who this person might be. There's a lot of that going on, and the ending was just explosive. I mean, like it really wrapped it up in a big way. This was not CGI at all because
No.
the directors were saying I was reading about it. They were like, look, we felt that CGI was being too heavily used at the time, and we really just wanted to use practical effects. You know, these were people in costumes on stilts. If you want something, I'm not going to say edge of your seat. I mean, there are certain parts where it is.
It's a
If you
little
just want
scary
something,
some parts.
it's scary. Oh yeah.
That leads into mine, I guess, for a Bad Moon. It's from 96.
Mhm.
It has that 90s feel to it. It has Mariel Hemingway and Michael Paré in it.
That's right,
And the
Muriel.
little kid from that movie, Dennis the Menace. Michael Paré is obviously, this is not giving anything away because you can probably tell this from the trailer even, is the opening. It kind of shows what happens and how he comes to have this curse of being a werewolf. And so they explain all of that in that opening sequence. So when he comes back, Mariel Hemingway in the movie is his sister, and the little guy, that's his nephew. And so he comes back and he's staying with her because there's stuff going on, like people, hikers that are found in the woods where his Airstream was, and his camper thing, and I think it's an Airstream. So he comes back to live with her, and she's like, "Yeah, I definitely think you should stay here permanently if all this is going on out in the woods. I don't think it's safe for you there.
Yeah.
Totally not realizing that, her brother's out there beasting it out in the middle of the night. So the dog, this is so cool because it's like man versus wolf versus dog kind of thing. And that's not something you really see a lot in werewolf movies. So I think maybe that's why that one stands out for me. So this dog is side-eyeing and I'm like, man, I see you. I got you.
Yeah.
Thor! Come on, it's bedtime. Come on in. Come on. Come on.
So you're this, it's that whole protective angle. And apparently this was originally a book named Thor, which is the name of the dog in the movie. And it makes me want to read the book too, because the book is from the perspective of the dog. How
That's
cool
cool.
is that?
That is unique. That's cool.
So the guy that created, put the movie into cinema form, he got the rights from the story and created this. And this is another one that really didn't land well at the theater. And I don't know why. I didn't see a problem with the transition of the werewolf and the look of the werewolf, although some people were pretty disappointed in it. I'm like, I don't know, I guess to each their own. And it was suspenseful. I don't like seeing pets get hurt in movies. And so a lot of the times I'm like, is something gonna happen to the dog?
There's a scene at the very beginning of Dog Soldiers that I was like, oh, not the dog. So just heads up on that. Yeah, I didn't like that either.
I
So
don't like that. It seems like it is a lot of times if you're watching a horror movie and there's animals in it, go to doesthedogdie.com.
mm,
It'll tell you a lot of times exactly in the movie where that is so that you can just fast forward through it. You can still enjoy the movie. You can pretend like that part doesn't exist.
I love that.
But
Spoilers.
yeah, I do highly recommend checking out Bad Moon. Pretty sure that was also on Tubi. I feel like 90 minutes, that's the sweet spot for movies. My friend Joe, he said this before too. If you're going to watch a movie and it's 2 hours long, there better be a good reason why it's 2 hours long.
I agree.
All right, you're number
Right.
four.
Number four, gosh, you guys are probably not going to like this movie. Barb, I know you didn't like it. It's entertaining, right? And that's what it's meant to be. I'm talking about 1985's The Howling 2, the sequel to the fantastic first film with Dee Wallace, directed by Joe Dante. Something went off the rails here, and I'm here for it. I am
Something did.
here for it. God, I didn't even take notes on this. I'm just spitballing The Howling 2. And first of all, it's another one that I'm proud to own on VHS. Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf. The movie takes place following the events of the first Howling, which, as you know, or if you don't know and you've not seen The Howling, what spoiler alert. Dee Wallace, who's the news reporter, had a run-in with some werewolves. The very end is killed. Well, she turns into a werewolf on set of her news room broadcast and is shot to death. And the events pick up after that, where her colleagues and friends and her brother are attending her funeral. And as she is laid to rest, her colleague and her brother are encountered by Christopher Lee, the great Christopher Lee, who is a paranormal investigator and is trying to convince him that there's more to this than what you know. Your sister is actually a werewolf and will probably be resurrected, and I need your help. They're going to Transylvania to the castle of the Queen of the Werewolves, played by Sybil Danning. Her character's name is Stirba, and she's an old lady who basically this cult of sexy werewolves in her castle sacrifice a young lady's soul. She sucks it right out of her mouth and becomes young, beautiful, busty Sybil Danning. Uh, God, like this movie's so sleazy. Listen, if you
It
like sleaze and you
it
like
is.
cheese, you're going to love The Howling 2. Now, to me, there's a lot of redeeming qualities about this because of the sleaze, because of the cheese. Big Halloween vibes for me on this. Like it's something that I watch every Halloween season because just the elements of Stirba's castle and being in there and all the occultism and I love that. I just think it's just a fun watch. But I do got to mention the band Babel or Babel. I don't know, Babel, I guess. The music was good, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that song that they keep playing, Howling, like you're gonna hear that like 20 times in the movie. If you like new wave punk music, werewolf orgies,
That's not something you thought you'd hear.
yeah. If you want to see Christopher Lee wearing punk rock sunglasses inside of a club, you can see that. So I don't know. I love the Howling too. I don't know. Just a classic good versus evil cheese fest.
All
So
right. You ready for my number four?
I'm ready.
It's the one with Michelle Pfeiffer and Jack Nicholson. Rated R because of some of the scenes where he's a wolf. So this is one where he wasn't born with it. He did get bit. He plays a character who's an editor, and there's some sleazeball at his office that wants his job, so he gets demoted, and there's this whole storyline there.
Now, James Spader is the guy at the office, right?
Yes.
Trying to get his job, right?
As his body is slowly changing, you can see him in the office kind of noticing like, oh, I can hear that, or oh, I can smell things that I can't normally smell. And see he's noticing these changes, and oh, I don't need my glasses anymore. So it's really cool to see the progression of him turning into something. And just in case I don't want anyone to be disappointed, he never turns into a big creature. He's more human than wolf, but has obviously those tendencies of aggression and stuff. But he's a good person. It's like almost like the Dexter werewolf. You know what
Uh,
I mean? Like
you had
how
it coming.
Dexter only goes after bad people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like that. It has really good cinematography in it, beautiful colors, vibrant scenes. He actually looks good as a man wolf, I would say.
Okay. Jack Nicholson's he's a handsome dude
I mean, can he
back in the
fail at
day,
anything? Can he
right?
fail at anything? I just don't think so.
No, no, can't go wrong.
Now, what's your number five?
Number five. And you know what's funny is the adding this one to the list literally just came to me yesterday after I watched Dog Soldiers, and I don't know how I forgot it. Maybe I was just thinking too hard about werewolf movies and what to throw in. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
duh. I'm glad this came up from 1995. It's a straight to video with Kim Delaney and Barry Bostwick. It is Project Metal Beast. DNA overload. That's the tagline. And let me tell you, there's an overload of DNA in this. This movie's wild. It's like if you took the Terminator and mixed it with like the Howling, then you've got uh, Project Metal Beast. So, movie takes place at the beginning of it starts off in 1974, where two CIA agents are sent to Hungary to a castle where a werewolf supposedly lives, and their mission is to bring back werewolf DNA for research, right? So
Research. Yeah.
yeah, so the whole they bring it back. One of the guy dies, one of the guy other guy brings the DNA back and ends up actually kind of going nuts and injects himself with the DNA, turns into a werewolf. Barry Bostwick, who's heading the research company here, he's like, yeah, I'm not having that. I'm going to shoot this guy with some silver bullets. We're going to take his body. We're going to throw it on ice, put him in cryo. 20 years later, we jump to 94, 95, and they thaw this guy out and continue to try to do research on him. And what he does is hires a team of scientists led by Kim Delaney, who her whole thing is she's working on making like a synthetic skin for like burn, victims and things like that. And he hires her to come on board and try to make this indestructible synthetic skin onto this werewolf with the purpose of creating an army of like super soldier werewolves that are indestructible. I don't know. This guy's a lunatic, right? So we have lots of havoc going on inside this research facility. What did you think about it?
First of all, I didn't know that Kane Hodder was in that suit.
Oh yeah, good point. Kane Hodder is the werewolf in the suit.
So
Yeah,
he really loves playing these roles. You
yeah.
can tell. I thought that the suit was very different from any other werewolf costume that I've seen, and it almost had, and maybe you'll remember this, it almost had like porcupine things in the back of
Well,
it.
Yeah, I was reading on IMDb about it. Somebody left a review and was like, he looks more like a hedgehog.
Kind of.
But
It was
yeah, kind of.
it was almost like how it made me think of The Fly. Somebody went into that machine, like a beast went into that machine with a porcupine.
And they
and,
fuse
and they
together.
fused together,
Yeah.
which I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it looked unique. I've never
hmm
seen anything like that. So
Yeah.
I thought the wolf looked good. Like the acting wasn't the best. It's shot almost intentional to look like it's from the 80s. So if
hmm
you're someone who appreciates 80s cheesy horror movies, you would really like this. I thought that the wolf attack scenes were pretty good.
hmm Yeah,
Someone that
absolutely.
that loves more of the modern type werewolf movies, I don't think they would really
hmm
care for this. But also, people that have an appreciation for Kane Hodder maybe should give it a chance too, because he does really well with his roles.
He does.
I
Yeah, it
mean,
was like he was kind of meant to play that wolf.
I'm so glad we're ending with this as our last one because it's from 2020. It's only an hour and 23 minutes, but it's so good as kind of that whodunit feel to it, mystery thriller. It's called The Wolf of Snow Hollow. And I only just recently watched it myself. Once I got to the end, it was kind of like the Sixth Sense moment. I wanted
Mm,
to go back and rewatch it again.
no kidding.
It was Robert Forster's last film. So if you are a fan of Robert Forster, it's not like he has a huge role in it or anything, but it is kind of a nice little way to kind of say goodbye to his last character that was on
Yeah.
screen. Now, Jim Cummings is the guy that wrote and directed this, and he starred in it as the son of Robert Forster's character. So he's the deputy sheriff, right? And his dialogue that he gives himself to say, he is funny. So how it starts is there's these bodies that are showing up across town that are, being shredded in such a way that it couldn't have been a human doing it. So there's the other cops going, "Oh, well, it kind of looks like it's an animal. Oh, it is a full moon tonight." And John Marshall, the deputy sheriff, he's like, "It's not a wolf. It's a
Let me just
man."
make this perfectly clear. There is no such thing as werewolves. Our killer is a guy.
And so you're kind of going through, and most wolf movies that we've talked about, you already know from watching it and seeing the progression of them slowly changing, you know who the wolf is. This
Yeah,
movie, you don't.
that's cool.
You don't know. So it starts to slowly give some clues throughout it of who this might be. And there's a moment towards the end where he's talking to the person that could potentially be the werewolf from the movie. And you can just see his wheels turning as he's figuring it out for himself. If you're someone who appreciates a whodunit kind of storyline where it's more of a mystery unfolding in the movie, I think this would be a werewolf movie someone would really like. This was definitely my favorite of the bunch.
All right.
It's one that will go in my rotation every Halloween, I've decided. I do think we should do another episode of Werewolves somewhere down the line, maybe in the
There's a
spring or
lot more for
something.
us to look at, so
Thank you for doing research and finding
yeah,
some good ones for us to suggest to people, and
of
I
course.
appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you for having me on once again, and we'll do it again whenever you put out the call. So
Excellent.
let me know.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.